Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, 5 Set Test Match, where we talk about two of my favorite sports, tennis and cricket. I was watching the one international between Australia and South Africa, and it had a few observations which I'd like to share with you guys. The first one is that Warner's struggles with right arm fast bowlers coming around the wicket continues. As you recall, Warner had a horrendous Ashes series last year because Stuart Broad came from around the wicket and caused Warner all sorts of problems. It was just a very difficult angle for Warner and he just couldn't find a solution to it. I believe there are two reasons for this. Number one, David Warner does not have an initial movement. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with what an initial movement is, it's basically a ready position for a batsman before the ball is bowled. When a batsman has an initial movement, it gives him a fraction more time to react to the ball, and he has a fraction better decision making power because he has a fraction longer. It makes it easier for him to decide which balls he should play at and which balls he should leave alone. Now, I'm not saying this is a big flaw that David Warner has, obviously. I mean, he has been David Warner because of that technique. And this technique does have its own advantages. Because David Warner generates more power because of this technique, because he lifts his bat up and brings it down like a golf swing. And as you can see, the golf players, they strike the ball at great distance. But what that does is, as I mentioned, it gives you less time to decide what to do. It lets your instincts take over. And David Warner instinctively is a very aggressive player, which is the second reason why I believe he has been facing this problem. Instead of leaving the balls, Warner decides to play at the balls a lot more. This, combined with his lack of initial movement, makes Warner poke at balls which he can well leave alone. Now, I'm not criticizing Warner's technique by any means. I think he has a fantastic technique. He has scored all his runs because of that technique. But I think it's just up here. He needs to adjust mentally every time he sees the fast bowler, right arm bowler coming around the wicket. Because Warner needs to tell himself every time that happens is, what he needs to tell himself is, the fast bowler now basically is trying to get me out behind the stumps. He's not going to try to get me out bowled or LBW from that angle. He just wants me to poke at the ball, which I could well leave alone. Now, if I were Warner, I would tell myself, you know what? I'd be happy getting out bowled, leaving a ball, rather than getting out caught behind. Because what that will do is, it will help Warner leave balls which he would previously be playing at, which we would call great leaves. And that will force the bowler to come closer to Warner, closer to his body, and then Warner will be able to take over with his bat and play his natural game. So I think it's just the mental attitude towards that angle that Warner needs to change. Nothing else. I don't think he needs to change his technique. If you tell him to develop an initial movement now, well, he's not going to do anything with it. I mean, whatever runs he has gotten, whatever shots he has will all be blocked. If you recall, Adam Gilchrist in the 2005 Ashes series had the same problem. Andrew Flintoff used to come around the wicket, used to get Gilchrist out 90% of the times behind the stumps, in slips or to the keeper. Gilchrist again, pretty much the same type of player, had no initial movement, used to stand still, had a full back bat swing, was an aggressive player like Warner, same problem, used to poke at balls which he could have left alone. Therefore, my advice to David Warner would be to accept getting out bowled, leaving the ball, then getting out caught behind. Because the chances of getting out, leaving the ball bowled are very, very low for sure. My second observation, and this is just a general observation, I was watching Marnus Labuschagne bat, and he reminded me of the great Yunus Khan. I believe if Yunus Khan was born and brought up in Australia, he would have been just like Marnus Labuschagne. The approach that Marnus has towards batting is very similar to Yunus Khan. He's very methodical, he's very technical, and it's as if he's completely absorbed in every single shot that he's playing, like Yunus Khan, like the great legend himself. And like Yunus Khan, I believe Marnus Labuschagne rather, doesn't have a big shot. I don't think he's one of those Australian batsmen who the fast bowler really fears getting hit for a six. It's more about strike rotation for him, just like the great Yunus Khan. Labuschagne, I think, has a bright future, and I don't think I need to say that. All the ex-cricketers, all the current cricketers have been saying it. Very mentally strong, very mentally determined, and we saw that in the Ashes. Came in as a substitute. Boy, did he show mental grit rather. Amazing player. So these were my two observations. What do you think, guys? Comment below. Do you think David Warner should take his time more at the crease, be more patient? What do you think of Marnus Labuschagne and his comparison to Yunus Khan? Do you guys agree with me or disagree? Comment below. Thank you, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.